Okay, we're in record. I'm going into record on Hyperdeck 2. I don't think this really works. I've got the rainbow behind me. I'm wearing a
No,
yellow.
we
I'm
do
wearing a
it.
yellow crop circle T-shirt. So this is stupid. Well, well, we're mucking about here using technical things called chroma key on my T-shirt with color bars because it's just a stupid thing to do because I'm making it lighthearted here. Okay. Welcome, Julie Phelps, to an update. And just for the sake of it, I've got the secret space program chart on the wall behind me, and I've also deliberately got a little bit of the. If I get out of the way, there it is. It's the NHS, but it's the support the NHS staff who are complaining that everybody's saying everything nice about them. Let's get you in shot. Hello, Julie.
Hi, Miles. Good to be back.
And I'm deliberately and just for the sake of the climate, we're in the lockdown situation, and we've got the NHS rainbow behind us, and the NHS rainbow is about supporting the NHS, but the NHS staff are complaining that they're not getting any work because there's nobody in the hospitals. But Julie is back with us now.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a lot to update because there's been a lot going on.
So we'll let you update, and I'll be quiet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll try and update you. This is like, oh.
Let's enjoy the chaos. This is just wonderful. Okay. I have to report, before you get into your report, I have major reality differences here. We had a reality difference where I bought some vegetarian spread instead of butter. Went out of my way to get it. I mentioned this in Kerry Castry last night. We went out of our way to get it. I bought it. Colin saw it. It was witnessed in the fridge that night. Next morning, it changed to Butterly, the Butterly spread. Very important detail error. I've spoken to somebody else about this. They had a similar error in their detail. And also an explosion, lots of sonic booms above Glastonbury, reported by somebody. A lot of white dust came to the earth. So those are major reality differences, and subtle differences.
Sorry? Did that happen yesterday with Glastonbury?
It happened very, very, very recently. Could have happened yesterday.
See, May the 1st is a day that the negative try and blast us all with something negative, whether it's a rituals or, like satanic rituals, things like that, especially May the 1st. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was yesterday to get kind of trying to break what's the positive they've been doing recently.
And that's a person, and again, an independent witness. She's noticing a lot of reality errors and different realities in the area. Glastonbury.
That's interesting. If I go back, there is a lot to update. Yeah, I've had a lot of negative attention recently. So
yeah, you were offline. You weren't. Yeah. And so you are. So this is great on a sunny, slightly cloudy day. For the record, again, this is a Corona lockdown, and you're up in Lancashire. I'm down in Wiltshire with stupid colour bars on my T-shirt supporting the real NHS staff doing the really good hard jobs, and those who support and maintain the vows. That's part of this. And it's the 2nd of May in the afternoon of Saturday, 2nd of May, about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I'll carry on from that. I get a lot of negative attention, and I get so much that I start to, with friends and that, we start to call them compliments as a kind of way to reframe them psychologically. But yeah, I counteract a lot of them, and but an odd one will get through, and there was one that did get through and really knocked me for 6. So. But I still carried on behind the scenes. It wasn't public, so I was still carrying on with everything. But I just didn't want to go public at that point. But what I'd like to talk about is updating this. Honestly, there's been so much happening since I last spoke to you. I'm going to have to backtrack now.
Now, I did
So
mention your asteroid incident with Kerry
yeah,
Cassidy, and I didn't refer it to you directly, just so you know.
oh right, okay. Well, if I go back to the conference with you, Miles, last year, straight after that, I went to Avebury because I was guided to go there and to do some tobacco blessings and also to communicate with beings deep underneath Avebury. And this all has a knock-on effect. And when I was there, I made a tobacco offering at a clump of trees, and I was given this little rock to take with me. I was told to take it with me, so I took it with me, and I brought it home, and it had a huge amount of energy with it. And from that, we then go forward in time, and I was guided to Atlas. There's a lot more to this than probably I can. Some of it I won't be able to talk about because it's involves other people, and I keep those people private. But the Comet Atlas C19, I was guided to watch a program on it, and also guided to it, and I remote viewed it. Thinking that it was actually going to be a negative occurrence, that it was going to be Draco within the comet, which is not a comet, it's a craft. And I was like, oh dear, this could be quite a war going on in space. But when I remote viewed it, they allowed me in, and there were ancient dragon type beings. So they were more like dragons than they were Draco, which Draco have like semi-wings, some of the alpha Draco. But these were ancient beings, and they were like white dragons. And they were not very happy with the Draco, I can tell you. I talked with them, and they told me a number of things, that they were going to support Earth, and in doing so, they were going to send some new elementals to Earth, like a bit like Fae, Elemental Kingdom. There are different sort of beings, and this is to help heal.
Aren't they indigenous to the planet, though, along with the Jinn? Is that right?
Yes, they're indigenous, but these other elementals are not indigenous. They're ancient connections, but they're not indigenous. So they're adding to the elementals already here. And then I was guided, right, so I needed to go to Castle Rigstone Circle. I was guided to go there, and this was all connected with Atlas, because at that time, it being a celestial body or craft, it could affect the gravitational fields and things, with all the planets and things in alignments. So when I was guided to go to Castle Rigstone Circle, this was on the 7th of April. Yes, while we're on lockdown, and I went very late at night and drove.
Well, you're still isolating,
Yeah, I was still isolating.
But you need to do that.
Yeah, there was nobody with me, just me on my own going up there, because I was guided to drive up there. And when on my way there was a ship in the sky, and it was helping me guide me as well, because I didn't have a very accurate location, with it being at night, to find Castle Rig. But I managed to find my way there. I was guided there, and I found this little gate with no signpost or anything, and a little road, and that led into the darkness of the field with the stone circle. And I was guided to connect. Again, on approaching the stone circle, I was guided to make tobacco offering before I entered the circle. And then in the very center of the circle, I was guided to place the stone I got from Avebury and bury it in the center of Castle Rigstone Circle, thus connecting the energy fields from Avebury in a much more powerful way to Castle Rig. And at the same time as this, there were people in Canada and America that were also connecting these energies as well. So, and since then, there's a lot more people joining in with this. It's becoming global now. And basically, it's about re-establishing the connections with the elemental world as their world starts to meet ours, as our vibration of the planet changes. It's a case of reconnecting with all these elements and elementals and fae, because we have been separated. I mean, it's, you know, right back to the Spanish Inquisition and before then. There's been so many efforts to separate us from that.
Well, the Romans, there's not the Roman Empire when they came here, all that sort of stuff. Anybody who knew anything was wiped out. AD 500, even before that.
Exactly, and I did connect while I was at Avebury with ancient druids, and I know for a fact that the real ancient druids did not do human sacrifices. Now it got again twisted by the negative, and that's when they started to do the human sacrifices. So the actual original druids didn't do the human sacrifices, but it's like that with so many different things. The satanic and the negative twist the positive to their own aims or gains, and this also connects with what you were saying about Glastonbury as well. Because I've also been guided to connect soon with other beings that are very well known in Britain. Now, and a lot of people just feel the legends, and they've never existed as beings. But like Merlin and the Arthurian, they're coming back along with a lot of the old.
Could you explain some of those? Those legends, just and we haven't heard of that before.
Well, I won't go into too much detail. I mean, a lot of people have seen King Arthur and things like that, but Merlin was very much connected with the elemental kingdoms. Obviously, he used elemental magic, and he very much as I said, connected with that sort of magic way back, like the ancient druids. And I'd already picked up on Merlin years ago in like psychic communication, and he was in like a stasis, like a chamber, which was high tech, but like in
what do you mean? What do you mean by high tech? I mean, are we talking about not in his era, or was that high technology available in the era?
Not in his era. Well, he was like different. So there'd be like normal Earth humans who'd be like, you know, living normally as everybody did back then. But Merlin was not quite a normal Earth human. So his abilities, both psychic and connected with other realms, he was he non-terrestrial? Yeah, I would say he's non-terrestrial, but he's very ancient connection with Earth as well. So that goes back a long way. But he decided to cut himself off until the time arose, which is now, as I think most people realize. This is like, people call it the apocalypse, but that's like, it's a change, it's a transition, and people will need to get shaken up out of their complacency, because so many people will just carry on their little hamster wheels without actually realizing what's going on around them. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of more people waking up, but there's still an awful lot of people asleep. And
yeah,
the people,
a lot of people are asleep, and it's not worth trying to wake them up. I don't think it's worth trying to wake them up, because they become threatened. It's dangerous.
yeah, they become threatened and dangerous, but every soul is so important. Whatever we can do to wake them up or help support them in the waking up, the better. And all this can reflect back as well. Oh, I better let the dog back in now.
Well, as we let the dog back in, we're in the Technicolor mode of supporting the NHS with the correct arrangement of color. This NHS thing that people are having have got the red at the top. It should be the violet. And here's Judy back.
Yeah. So, yeah, I get distracted from what I was talking about now.
Arthur
So,
and all
yeah,
that.
right,
Fair.
Glastonbury, we know that has connections with very positive connections, unlike Stonehenge. And it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that there was some sort of incident there to try and disrupt this global connection.
Well, the
that started.
incident was reported by a very perceptive person, and these were major sonic booms in the sky, high up. I mean, anybody who knows anything about flying aircraft, you're not allowed to travel faster than the speed of sound over land unless there's some kind of really serious emergency. And these were a series of sonic booms, boom, 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 and then a big boom, and then a lot of very white dust started falling out of the sky.
Yeah, and that does not surprise me. As I say, every single May Day, there's something really negative will take place by the negative forces, and it's their attempt to disrupt this.
Now, I'm not sure if that was yesterday. It could have been the day before. Just
Yeah, well,
okay.
even around that time,
Yeah,
whenever
okay.
it's all negative attempts at the moment. But on the positive notes, there has within SSP. I've been extremely busy with SSP. I've been out a lot of nights with SSP, and it's not just me. Other SSP people have reported.
Tell us more. Tell us more. We want to know. We want to know. Tell us more about the SSP.
Yes, the SSP. There's more than one faction of the SSP, as we know. There's lots of different factions. Some are not positive factions. I have to say that some are still connected with the Draco.
Now you're
and a lot of
talking terrestrial secret space program situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but the SSP have been involved with these underground bases to free people. So it's not just been space stuff. They've also been doing things underground to assist as well.
Now, okay, right. Is this actually happening? I was watching Simon with the Sasha Stone thing, and really none of this is reaching the public domain.
No. I mean, the media is so completely taken over. It's unreal. It's just so pathetic. I mean, you turn on the TV, and within seconds or within less than 5 minutes, I have to turn it off because they're using NLP and other methods to neuro-linguistic programming, that is, by repeating and repeating, stay at home, do this, do that. It's complete mind control through the TV now. I mean, it always has been, but now
it's really insidious now.
It's very insidious now, really, really powerfully insidious.
It's got local. They've got extra captions for those outside the United Kingdom. The terrestrial channels will have their channel ID at the top of the picture, but they're now having extra captions: "Stay at home, stay at home, stay at home," and it's going to get nasty. It's going to get nasty.
Yeah, it's psychological. It's affecting people psychologically, and of course, their aim is to make people police each other. So, grass on your neighbour if you see something that they're doing, that, the old tricks that they use, like the Nazis use, no different.
But there's been a law brought in on the 27th. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll get back to the SSP aspects, which are different. Yeah, there have been raids on the underground bases, which is another reason why they'll be using other techniques to try and do their nasty rituals, because they haven't got the supply of children and you name it to do what they normally do. And I do recall some very nasty sites that I don't want to go into, because
can you please go into that?
Well,
can you please go into the detail? name? I'm going to push you on this. I'm going to
There's
push
there's
you on this, woman. I want the information.
so one site that we went to in Britain, that we went underground, one in Britain. Most of them are in Italy, like Simon says, most are in America. But there are huge networks of these underground bases. Not all are negative. There's a lot of positive ones too, so they're not all bad just because they're underground bases. But gradually they're being taken out. Now, some of them are very deep, and humans can't go to them.
What do you mean by deep? I mean, the average coal mine is maybe a mile,
They're deep and also in
or sort
pocket
of, yeah.
dimensions within the Earth, so gets a bit complicated when you get to pocket dimensions. So they're like negative pocket dimensions.
Explain that, because we're not in the solid ball that we're really told we are we?
No, I mean the Earth isn't totally hollow, like a hollow shell. There's pockets of like cities, underground cities.
Now are you talking if the I'm talking about the donut type Earth where the center is empty. Not
No, I don't think.
how are you modeling
Like
this?
there's pockets. There's like big areas that there's the mining that goes on by underground bases. That's one layer. So there's
That's
like
at
all
the top. The top.
that's more top where they
That's
don't
like
go
the
to.
first 20 miles or what? What sort of distance are we talking about?
Some are deep. I can't say exactly how deep, but yeah, some are pretty
But in a
deep.
vague area.
Well, at least a few miles down. Yeah.
I mean, are we
Uh,
living on a giant crunchy bar?
Yeah, basically, I suppose that's a good way of putting it. A giant crunchy bar with air pockets. But there's also interdimensions. So there's our normal dimension, our 3D dimension. Also, there's pocket dimensions within the planet, which are phased out of our normal dimension. A
Which
bit like
is,
the
yeah.
phase. We share this planet with a lot of other beings, not just us. We're just like this when we're looking out. Oh well, we can only see this. Nothing else exists. Well,
Yeah.
that's not true. We are living and cohabiting this planet with lots of other beings.
Because the energy field which we think of at 3D isn't
Mm.
necessarily focused just in what we call 3D domain. So when you deal with other spectral aspects of the energetics of what this focal point is, an energy field,
Yeah,
it's like a node of energy which is resonating in a fairly stable structure. But
yeah.
that stability isn't happening anymore, is it?
Exactly. And also, we've got technology now that's starting to pick up on other beings. It's like even people like Chris Fleming, who did Help My House Is Haunted. Him down in was it Devon or Cornwall? He was down there, and he on his instruments he picked up a pixie. Well, that's like, and that went out on mainstream TV, so that's unusual. They don't normally allow that on
No, they
TV.
don't. They certainly don't. What
Um,
sort of instrumentation? I haven't heard his name. Could you explain who this guy is?
Chris Fleming. He's really good and he's really genuine because I talked to him and he's totally genuine medium and everything. And he uses these EVP, and don't ask me, I'm not technical with the equipment he uses, but basically some of it's like Tesla origins and there's other origins
Yeah,
too with
it's important that
technology.
Tesla wasn't the only guy doing that. This sort of
No,
stuff.
there's another guy, and he began to with an L, but I can't remember his name offhand. He also developed certain
And
technologies as well.
it's interesting that at the whole conference that they led with ghosts. They led the main theme of the UFO conference in Hull was ghost busting and going and finding ghosts.
Yeah, because what Chris does, which I used to get a bit cheesed off with the old ghost hunting things on TV because a lot of them I didn't think were very accurate or pretty nonsense. But what they would do is they'd stir up the ghost and then leave and not do anything about it. It's like, and I just, that aggravated me because you got a ghost that's trapped. They need to be helped over to the other side, especially if they're being trapped by demonic. You can't just ignore them, or you shouldn't do, and stir them up to make it worse for the family involved or the wherever it's haunting, that it makes the situation worse there. You need to deal with it. And I'll go back to the SSP in a few minutes, but the other thing about ghosts and about what you were saying about crop circles is something I picked up on not long ago. There's the positive and negative crop circles. Some crop circles have been put there by negative technology to attack the ley lines, to disrupt the positivity of Mother Earth, again attacking Mother Earth's positive core self by disrupting the connection of the ley lines throughout the planet. And I have seen some of these ley lines. I'd have to go back to tell you which ones they are, but they have been placed there on purpose to disrupt these connections. That's why we need to reconnect all these energies. And we being human beings, but also multidimensional beings, we have this capability to coexist with all different beings, because we do have a natural connection to the elementals. We are made up of elemental. We're made up of so much water. There's water elementals. So we have a natural connection to all, like iron. We have iron in our bloodstream. So we can connect to all the different types of elementals, whether it's air, whether it's water, whether it's metal or earth. We can be conduits to really have our power to rebalance things on this planet. And it can have a huge effect on the negative too, which is why I think, it doesn't surprise me that there's been some negative attempts again at disruption of a place like Glastonbury, which is a very positive area. And of course has connections to King Arthur, Arthurian, and all those aspects. They're all connecting together now, and it's just not just me, increasing people now. We're all coming together, and we're going to be probably presenting some podcasts or whatever to help teach other people how to connect with the elemental world, because it's very important for everybody to learn these connections, rather than what's been happening is this separation and disrespect of the elementals. And this disrespect, they can have a nasty streak to them if you disrespect them.
Well, if you annoy any life form, if you annoy anybody, they're going to be if you muck around with them,
Yeah, you've got elementals that, look after trees and that, and then you go in with a big bulldozer and just bulldoze them out their way. They're not going to be very happy about that without any... it's like somebody coming in your own garden without any buy or leave and just coming in with a big bulldozer in your back garden, just leaving a big hole there and saying, bye. It's this lack of connection. We've lost this connection. And I knew about
forcibly lost it. I mean, we forcibly lost this connection because we were burned at the stake. So there's it's a reawakening of the divine feminine and the energetics of what's going on.
Definitely. And as I said, this is a work in progress now. We're just getting people together now to do with all this, and people who are well known, and not just that, but just anybody really who's interested in this. And we will be putting videos out. And there is different methods to connect, which I've been through before, which is like native tobacco is a very old plant. Native American tobacco, not the tobacco you buy in the shops that's been, again, twisted by the Satanic to put all toxins in it, like they do with the cannabis and everything else. The government ones are all toxic, or most of them are.
You're talking medical cannabis?
Yeah, because I was really ill in Canada, and because of various things that have been done. And I wasn't quite sure I was going to survive, but I became totally allergic to any of the mainstream medications. And it wasn't until somebody introduced me to pure CBD oil, a pure version. Within 2 weeks, I started to feel a lot better. And then I went through the government pharmaceutical, doctor, and then being okay to have the government one. I tried the government one. It made me ill. It made me really ill. So I tried a different government one, made me ill. And I thought, well, there's something different in
So the
this.
governments are consciously, directly, and with malicious intent poisoning us through the medical system. They're doing that.
Yeah, they're poisoning us. And doctors, they may as well be in a straitjacket, because if they say anything about it, they get penalties. They are so constrained now. I mean, the increase in doctors committing suicide has gone up, and it's no surprise with the way they're controlled. Not all doctors are bad, and a lot of doctors go into the field to actually do good, and then they find out that it's not what they think. And also, at the medical schools, they're training them in these specific areas. They're not training them in homeopathic medications
Oh,
and things.
definitely not.
And I mean, I just got word from friends who know people in Peru and Ecuador, and they've just brought in rules there that mean if you even email about homeopathic remedies, you can face 5 years in jail. And a lot of the natural medical or medicine and shamans there are retreating right back into the wild areas. I won't say too much about that, but because they're fleeing for their lives, they're not just being put in jail; they're being targeted.
There is a
like
massive persecution. Is it
Yeah.
I mean, this is when the Spanish Inquisition, this seems to be a modern Inquisition to destroy and wipe out everything
Yeah.
around it.
It's no different than the Inquisition. What's the difference? There they were burning people at the stake or hanging them, because you know always burn people. But if you were a heretic, and you're a heretic if you go against the mainstream, like if they start bringing in the vaccines and forcing it, you're going to be classed as a heretic probably.
Well, that's
You're
what this law that's been passed here, the 27th.
And I'd say
it's horrendous. This is only a few days ago.
Up those, no way am I having a vaccine.
By saying that, they can take you, force it on you, just take all your possessions, kill you.
And I will use the technique that other people are bringing forward about a disclaimer, saying you want to give me this, you sign this.
But they can invent this law, which has been passed only on Monday, the 27th of April. This law, if you do anything, they can invent every single thing, just invent it on the spot, offences. You have no defence if you... And this is...
They've also brought
I've written to my MP on this.
Yeah, one doctor's signature. It used to be two doctor's signatures to get you sectioned. Now they're bringing in a one doctor rule because they're black doctors and one thing and another. That's their excuse. But that means it's up to whoever they decide to have as the person who's signing these things. So, yeah, they're trying to bring in no two ways about it, Nazi measures. So it's about us holding them accountable.
They're not trying. They have.
Well, they have.
I can expect somebody coming through this door any second and being hauled off, everything here destroyed, burned, wiped out, and me shoved in a box, probably still alive.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that completely, Miles, because, it wasn't that too long ago that I might have been possibly facing serious legal matters, which I won't go into, but you know about it. But we got around that because it was a load of nonsense anyway. But I know they could have used the technique of like getting some expert witness in to even section me or something like that, because they're requiring file like signatures, so they can use these techniques to try and get people out of the way. So we're in the thick of the battle now, but it's about not being fearful, and it's like Laura Eisenhower. It was about reclaiming our flaming sovereignty.
Yes,
it's sticking together. And
now there are moves to do that. There are ways of doing that, but let's continue.
Yeah. So if I go back to the SSP stuff, right? So there have been bases, underground bases being taken out, and people being freed, not just children, there have been adults freed as well. And there have been tortures and you name it going on down there, which we know about. We know that these things go on.
List them, please. For the sake of the recording, please list it in detail.
But I don't know if it's a positive thing to list them, actually, because it's pretty horrific stuff. I mean, it's basically like the Spanish Inquisition stuff, flaying, you name it. These sort of things, dismembering limbs, all these hybrids that they're creating. But I mean, not all hybrids are bad, you know what I mean? But all these genetic experiments,
Which they were doing at Porton Down and all that.
But the ritual sacrifices are done in horrific ways, and they're done on purpose, because the more pain, and we know, and the more suffering, the more negative energy they get from it. Yeah. And of course, that's on top of the loosh, because there's different ways you can use negative black magic. You can use it as you create this loosh of this energy, you redirect it and target it people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm constantly targeted, but as others have explained to me, it's like some of the good priests, they're not all bad. Some of them have done a lot of exorcisms, and the more exorcisms they do, the more targeted they become, because the negative demonic and things like that don't obviously like that, because you're freeing people from their grasp, as it were, so that you're getting rid of their food source. So they're like, oh, they get really cheesed off. So then they start really going for you. And if they don't go for you, they'll go for your family. Things like this, and it happens.
Well, that happened to me with my sister. Yeah.
Exactly. So and it's not just me, it's not just you. It happens to a lot of people. But then then it's about stepping back from this, and you look at the consequences of not doing it. You know what I mean? It's everybody's free choice. If I continue, it's my free choice. And I will continue. But yeah, they do find sometimes any weakness. It's like in the movie Jurassic Park, the first movie where they had the raptors and the electric fence. What did they keep doing? The raptor kept testing the fence for weaknesses all the time, and using others to test it. Well, that's what they do with us. They find a weakness, something that upsets us, or something, a vulnerability that we have, because we're all human, we all have feelings, we all have vulnerabilities, and they'll amplify that, so try and get in, wedge in, and then you have to knock it out again. And it can be a constant battle, because if you were a divine, even if you were a divine ninth dimensional being, you come down and you're living on this third world, that's my Freudian slip, 3D world, you're still going through the emotions of being here. You're still going through all these daily traumas and everything else. So it's an ongoing battle for all of us. But it's one that it's about stepping up to this battle now. And everybody, even if you're healing yourself, can make a difference. And it is about now. We're at war. No two ways about it. We're at complete war now. And at least people who are normally not aware of these things are becoming aware there's something strange going on when you get a virus that is made in the lab, basically, and released, whether accidentally on purpose, but it was meant to be released anyway.
And Bill Gates and his foundation, there's been arrest warrants put out for them, but also, and what effect that has. Somebody writes a bit of paper and says, we've got an arrest. Who's going to insist on, who's going to enforce it? But he's talking about pandemic 1, and you've got somebody in the BBC during the week who obviously spoke. She said something which she shouldn't have said, in that we didn't infect enough. So the next time they're going to make sure they do it right. Pandemic 2's coming.
There's going to be waves of this. So we've got to be aware of there's going to be waves of different things, not just pandemic. There's going to be other things coming.
Can you allude to any of that? Prepare people in any way?
I can't. I don't know myself what's coming. All I know is there's something coming and other people are picking up. And I don't know exactly what yet.
Reality management issues.
Yeah, there's going to be another wave of this pandemic crap. And it is real. People are dying from this. And it's all part of their agenda. Yeah, they're still trying to.
In essence, we've sort of gone through what we call a phony war, like happened in World War II. We had the phony war. We had war declared, nothing really happened, and then suddenly all these ships start going down, and different technologies will emerge out of the blue.
Yes, but at the moment, I would say their plans are going ahead as normal at the minute.
Yeah. Who's their plans?
The negative, despite them being aspects being taken out, like some of the underground bases and that, they're still rolling out the 5G at the moment. They're still managing to do that. That's not been stopped yet.
No.
And also, it remains to be seen about the monetary system, because, of course, certain influential people who control all the money in the world, although Boris and Trump are trying to counteract that. The huge amount of power these other people have on the monetary system, they want a blockchain cashless society where they can control everybody through the money by, if you don't follow their rules, they'll just stop any payments, they'll just stop your account, which they can do more or less anyway.
Yeah.
But they'll have total control of all that. And of course, the smart cities, which is what they want. And look at all the rules there are about you possibly living in the countryside away from towns, unless you're really wealthy. There's a million of different
Everybody
rules.
living in the villages and the towns across the country are going to be exterminated.
Yeah, there's more and more measures being brought in. They'll make the excuse probably of like, oh, well, through the pandemic or something else, there'll be excuses. And farmers are targeted too. And
farmers are getting attacked by Extinction Rebellion. They're getting attacked. Anybody who sells a car is going to be getting attacked. Extinction Rebellion is attacking anybody.
You're going to have freedom of movement of your car. And look what they're doing. They're monitoring on the motorways who's going on, how many people are on the motorway. Are they going for this legitimate so-called reason for being out? And what's that going to do with anything? You're on a motorway or you're on a road. Who of us have had an accident in the last 30 years or whatever?
Well, that's why they took away the tax disc, so they could then monitor every tax disc and monitor all these little tiny little horizontal little boxes which hang off the side of lampposts are checking your number plate.
Yeah, they are. So they know if you're, because what do they harp on about on the media? Oh, somebody had a barbecue on a hill. Oh, end of the world. You know, like it's some sort of, like they were a mass shooter who's just killed 500 people. It's like, it's nonsense. You can keep the social distancing.
Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, but the social distancing rubbish anyway.
Well, yeah. I
mean, if you wanted to, it breaks. There's so many elements that if you really wanted to do it, it's as if that because you. Oh, it's just anyway. Don't get me going.
I know what you mean. It's like in my local supermarket. They have them all spaced out when you queue in to go in there. And then you go in and there's like, it's a one-way system in there now. It's just a small supermarket. But you get to somebody and they're in an aisle. You either wait or or they walk past and you're like that, you know, like pretending it happened because you were within blaming 6 feet because the aisles are only...
Yeah.
So what?
And then all restaurants are gone. Everything's gone. All social things are gone. That's 2/3 of the 80% of the service industry, and we're a service industry economy, which means you're looking at about 4 to 6 million unemployed now.
Yeah, and what do the elite want? They want all merchants, because I've seen the documents, which I can share with you after this. I've seen the documents where they want all services and all buying and selling to go funnel through their portal. No small businesses. They don't want small businesses. They want everything to go through like Amazon sort of merchants. So it goes through their
Amazon's banned. Trump's banned Amazon's trading because they're selling pirated goods. UK Amazon site blocked in America.
Yeah.
Mind you, Amazon, God knows.
I mean, I bought from Amazon because I can't get it from anywhere else. But that's like, so you have to resort to that, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it was a genuine government, then as soon as this lockdown ends, which they'll try and keep it going, then you have to really drive home, use the NLP to help support people, to support local industry, local government, well, not local government, but local shops, and about
Well, it's a
growing
case. I mean, the logistics of this is how many people can they kill efficiently and quickly. I think they're trying to get rid of whole age groups and want rid of all the 70s. They go 60s. I'm going to be next. I'm getting a bit sensitive to this, and then heading down to the 50-year-olds. So basically, if they can kill off all the old people really quick in all the care homes. They've been really hit. So the next lot, I mean, I'd say they should be getting rid of about 20 to 30 million within the next 3 years in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I think they will be getting rid of an awful lot of people, to be honest, before we can stop it.
The problem is, where do you put the bodies?
Well,
that's the problem.
That
if they could kill us any other way, that's really what they're looking at. If they could sort of just delete us on a hard drive, but they've got the recycle bin problem. The recycle bin keeps being filled up with bodies.
I mean, they have got the technology to get rid of people that way, because even in the Vietnam War, they were using technologies of microwaving where you're not a lot's left. They can go through cars and just vaporize the person in the car with a very little left of who was in there.
That's pretty energy intensive, is it?
Yeah. So yeah, but I suppose they have systems that they could use like that if they wanted to.
I mean, whatever attacked the fires in California? I mean, there was a lot of...
Yeah.
And of course, 9/11, the energy weapon there, the way that certain types of car engine, just dust fell apart. Aluminium blocks just gone.
Exactly. So they've got the weaponry. It's just... but there are good people in place. This is it. There's good people and bad people. So there's a war within in government and everywhere else, because there's still good people in there.
I mean, this law that came out on the 27th was, I think, pulled in just before Boris actually walked back into Downing Street, so to speak. But
yeah, exactly.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done. And so that they can... start implementing, because there's a lot of people in different positions in councils, in all sorts of organizations, especially these environmental organizations, and they've targeted purposely with getting people in the top of these organizations so it can dismantle their original positive ethos.
Yeah, like CND and Greenpeace. But the actual symbolism that they used, CND inverted the energy field so it fell off you. It upside down, and the same with Extinction Rebellion. And it's obvious that Extinction Rebellion are regrouping for a major attack on anybody who does anything they disagree with, i.e. just about everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be mob rule. So when are the cyborgs coming into the street?
Well, I think we need to talk to Mark Steele about that one. Get a bit of info from him. Maybe countermeasures, should we say. I don't know. Because in a way, the cyborgs are more obvious, whereas the nano and the micro... Picho stuff. Yeah, the ones that are... like the ones that are insect size and things like that, it can be used more effectively against people, because they're not so obvious as a Terminator walking down the street. Yeah, because they want to be more subtle. They're crafty. They're sneaky. It's a last resort for them to use something like a Terminator robot, cyborg, because they still want to keep a certain facade up, even through all this, well,
the facade's beginning to fall.
It's beginning to fall.
So once the facade is gone, they don't need any pretense anymore.
Yeah, but it's not totally gone yet. So it'll be a last resort. Those killbots, I'm sure you've seen the video on the killbots.
Yes, the little tiny small ones, yeah.
And they can get through your window, they can get through your wall, because you use micro explosives to get through, and the other ones come through and just take you out. And they could just inject you, so they don't need to... Well,
exactly. Just inject us.
Yeah, then it's a heart attack then, or whatever, without any trace. So And yeah, they are targeting truthers. It's
I'm
you know
shocked.
we know.
I'm actually shocked by what you said about South America.
Yes, I was shocked about that this week as well. I was rather annoyed about that, to say the least. And in fact, I had to take a post down on.
Because I know a lot of people have gone. I know people like Bill Ryan, I think, have gone down to Guatemala and places like that because it's a paradise and we live there.
Exactly. This is what, but the target is there as well. I mean, I only know Ecuador and Peru are being targeted right now, but I'm sure they're going to try and spread it out.
Is that because the drug lords run those countries?
Well, the drug lords connecting to the bad CIA, who were all connected.
Well,
with
CIA is inherently bad. It's created German secret
great.
intelligence.
Yeah, there's the Nazis that a lot went down to Argentina and, of course, spread all throughout the South America. So there's their finger in the pies of a lot of these governments as well. So, yeah, a lot of these measures are Nazi measures. There's no two ways about it.
But who was running the Nazis? I mean, Hitler was put in by the Third Reich. Was going back to the Prussian stuff. This is also the takeover of the United States military. Which has changed because we've seen the disappearance of the braid, the gold braid on the flag of the United States. But, okay, we've had a bit of a sort of a frenzy here. Do you want to get back to the SSP? It's not,
right.
In other words, it's not all spaceships flying around in whatever.
No. So I'll focus right back down to the SSP again now. Right. When the SSP... they connect with other beings too, not just Earth beings. There is connections with Palladians, with the positive, like Solar Warden and groups like that. And then there's the American Space Force. But there are still negative ones that are connected to the Draco. So there can be a little bit of wars and skirmishes in that respect. But it's a lot quieter in space at the moment, actually. Things are changing in space, especially with the Comet Atlas, which was a ship with other ships around it, because they reported recently it had broken up. Well, that's because the ships have separated from the main body, and some have landed here. So,
could you explain the human side of things? You get the Russians, Chinese, Japanese. I mean, I've got the space plan, the plan for space behind me.
Once you get above a certain level, you're working with the Russians because you're not enemies. Why would you be? It's like we're all human beings. Now the Chinese tend to be on their own a bit. They tend to be their own little quadrant of their own. I haven't seen too many Chinese. I haven't seen any Chinese in the groups I've been involved with. So they have their own sort of space force and their own connections, off-world connections.
I mean, what sort of volume of ships and hardware are we dealing with?
A lot. I mean, there's bases on the moon and there's bases on Mars, and then then you can go further afield. And
Io, the moons of Saturn and Jupiter.
Yeah, all these things. Yeah, all around there, but it's still local, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
it's the jump gate technology.
Yeah, there's the jump gate technology, and also the opening portal opens.
So that's not the same as a jump gate.
No, it's not the same as a jump gate. A jump gate's limited because, but it depends what sort of beings we're talking about. But for human beings, if you physically go through something, you're limited because a jump gate. There's jump gates on Earth that connect directly to the moon, directly to Mars. But when you go further afield, you have to have substations.
It's like a trunk telephone exchanges. But is the problem it's not your physical body that's got to go through. It's your energy fields, your soul. All that's got to travel at the same time.
Well, I know with me and others, they pump you full of chemicals and stuff. And this, according to Penny Bradley, it's like to help stabilize us when we've been through these a lot, these sort of jump gates and other dimensions and things. Which your physical body has a like cellular memory, and it can be affected by going through, because all your electrical fields can be affected by
Yes,
going through
they've
these.
got to maintain synchronicity.
Yeah. You can start losing your field in a certain way if you go through them too
And
much.
then
So
you
they have
start
to.
aging a lot, and
You get a lot of body pain, all over
yeah,
body pain,
yeah,
and like fibromyalgia type symptoms.
yes.
All your joints, everything starts to really hurt, and then they put you full of chemicals to try and counteract
I
that.
have to say, I had a lot of that in January.
Well, you could well be. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me because you say things,
Me?
so many people are involved in so many different ways and they don't know it.
Yeah.
And I've been working a lot on trying to recall a lot more memories. I don't know what I've done with my hang on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is getting a bit serious. We've got to crank up our awareness. We've got to really, really get our act together. We've got to push our frontiers, push all our subtleties, notice any little subtle changes and errors and things going on, and back with Judy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Did you hear any of that?
I did, yeah. We got
Okay.
to, and this brings us to this. Now, I was recommended this by somebody else. It's the Monroe Gateway.
Is that from the Monroe Institute?
It's from the Monroe Institute, and it's what the CIA used to train them for remote viewing.
Okay.
But once you get, there's a series from 1 to 7, and there's like each one has 3 discs, and each disc has so many exercises. Now, I started to do this. I've just restarted
What
this.
date?
And
What date are those dated? Because I was asked to do a lot of copies for remote viewing stuff, but that was all stuff around about 2000.
I got these this year, but what do they date back to? I don't know actually. But really, it's relevant to when they were first made, anyway.
Lynn Buchanan, people like that.
Yeah, Lynn Buchanan. I mean, they know about it was phenomenal, them developing these, absolutely phenomenal. And I really recommend them to people because it's hemisync, so it synchronizes your mind and helps focus. And since I've been working on these, I can now focus in. I can see the beings more. Before I could feel them, except when I was taken up to the Pleiadians and things like that. Before that, I was only sort of sensing them, and other people could see them. But now I'm beginning to actually see them clearly. And this gateway program is phenomenal because
now, are those videos or are they CDs?
They're CDs. You wear your headphones, and it takes you. It's like hypnosis. It takes you in to an altered state of consciousness, and from there it helps you separate out. Now, even to the level 3 is remote viewing. After you get to above level 3, then you start going into different dimensions, and then different timelines, multi-dimensions. So it leads you on to a lot of different areas, but you have to be a little bit careful.
Could you show the image you've got on the front of that? Because I think I know the artist who actually did that.
Sorry, I don't know if it's...
No, it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When they say digitally remaster, it was probably done on a CD, analog cassette or something to start with.
Yeah. So these they came out more in the 1970s, late 1970s originally, where the CIA were using them to develop the...
Yeah, they would have been cassette or actually LP record.
Yeah, they would have been back then. Obviously, they wouldn't have had that method. They would have been LPs. And from there, and tapes. I'm sure they used tapes as well for them. But now, obviously, I've got the CDs. But they really help people focus their psychic abilities and explore and expand. And this helps bridge the gaps between like the elemental world and here, because it expands your ability, your frequency range to be able to see more of different beings, and also travel further, and and
What do you
also
mean?
different.
What do you mean by further? Distance isn't. Is that a real effect? When you mean further, is it
Uh,
like from different universal field zones to other universe field zones?
it's other universal field zones is what I've been focusing on. Different dimensions is what I've been focusing on. I mean, you could, if you want, like the Farsight Institute, they do remote viewing for more and more for like they have the YouTube videos where they remote view Mars bases or increasing what's going on in the past. So time is not relevant. You can remote view in the past, in history, or you can go to the future. But you have to be careful going to the future because there's different timelines, the multiple
Yes,
timelines.
yes.
Um, and
And that's something that Tim Refat talks about. He's brought things down to 2 timelines here.
but you know, it's but there's also aspects to which I'm interested in the Gateway program is to help support people or beings that have been trapped by the Draco and other negative satanic in the lower fourth after they've died. So they've like died and they've been trapped
Yeah.
down in like a cube energy field.
Yes.
Means that in their mind that things are circulating around in the mind and they don't know what else is going on outside that. And it's about connecting with those and allowing them freedom with their own free choice to then connect with the higher beings. So for me, that's a big interest because, yeah, I most certainly want to free as many beings as possible that have been trapped by the negative.
I have to say, Cloud's house comes to mind, Wiltshire. Maybe you shouldn't have
There's
said
a,
that.
there's a lot of places that need freeing, or there's so many. But I think I'm wondering if there's a way of actually doing it in a greater way by freeing a lot more beings all at once that are
Well,
trapped.
Matt Todd actually made public when thought made public with that he would go out and release people out of cages in these bases, and they'd all come out.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, even more than that, because there's different
Well,
levels
these
as
weren't
well.
physical cages. They were some kind of they didn't need. They weren't locked in. They just were in a cage, and he told them open the and they came out.
Yeah, it's like their ethereal self is trapped
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
And they're still alive, actually, those people. But I'm talking people that have passed over the veil and they're trapped in, well, people would call it hell. But they're trapped there. It's not, they've not done anything wrong to be there. They've been trapped by the negative. And it's about freeing all those souls that have been trapped. Because it's against universal law to trap souls like that anyway. But the angelics can't go low enough down into these areas of the lower dimensions without losing sight of where they're coming from, so they can
yeah.
get
It's
trapped.
too deep. Yeah.
It's deep. So we're at the 3D level.
Do
We
you
can go
think?
a
Do you
bit
think?
further.
Do you think that's one of our functions as
Yeah,
humans, that we can survive in this dense physical domain, and that's maybe one of our jobs to do that?
definitely. We have the capability of going down or connecting to the lower realms here that the angelic can't. So while we're in a physical body, when we leave our physical body, we can't. But when we're in our physical body, we can connect to these lower realms by beaming down carefully, because we can get trapped too, and help to free these souls, help them to see the light, because it's their own choice in one respect. They've been trapped there, but they're trapped within their own psyche. They don't need to be there, but they don't know because they're in this like prison, this cube that's like trapping them
But
there.
that's also is not because the awareness of these kind of conditions has been tortured out of us by the established religion.
Yeah, because they want ultimate control. They want absolute control and feed off us
Yeah,
eternally.
yeah.
That's what they want here. So they want to have us all trapped like these other souls. They want us all there. So they can feed off us without any problem. It's like having
So
a
that's what's
well, like,
happening right now. We're actually in a situation where the Earth is being, well, more than prison planet. We've got a problem to make sure that isn't happening. Is that
But
right?
that's where we can all make a difference. All of us. We're all multidimensional beings. Every single person who's watching this is a multidimensional being. They're at different levels of being awake, but it's about researching yourself, about looking at these technologies. But I mean, look at how many books are being erased. Books now, it's a bit of a joke. I mean, people haven't got books anymore, like some of the old books that used to be around. You're being fed all the information through the internet, which is a prime zone that they can eventually target. So there's no information except what they churn out, which is why,
What books have been burned? I mean, we had that shocking film Fahrenheit. What was it? Fahrenheit 350 or something.
well, they're just being obsolete. So they're just being, you go to a library now. Where's all the books? They're all, a lot of them being like
Closed.
Oh, well, we don't have them anymore. So they're closing the libraries. So all there, and of course now they'll bring in this thing. Oh, well, the books could be contaminated with viruses and all this, so we better not have real books. It's all about control, basically.
Yeah, control. That's what Dr. Robert Duncan was referring to, controlling everything on Earth right down to the last blade of grass. But okay, let's get back to the SSP and the issues involved with that.
Well, there have been quite a few underground bases ongoing. So there's a lot of bases being taken out underground. And there's, as I said before, there's pocket dimensions. These can't be entered into by human beings. But if you go into like the chairs, they talk about like the Montauk chairs and things. If you go on the chairs,
the trip seat.
The trip seat, you separate your consciousness and go into an avatar. And some of the avatars are not made by human beings. It's like I have an avatar that's, this is quite true. I have an avatar that's an arachnid. So I can go into the arachnid body, and then I can go with the other arachnids and beam into these really lower dimension, pocket dimensions, to take those out, which I don't particularly like doing any of this because it's affecting my karma doing all this. When you're online,
yes.
It is kind of affecting my karma as well. But somebody has to do it.
Well, because somebody has to do it, is that not? I mean, the devil has to do the devil's work.
Mm.
So the devil isn't a bad person. That's his job.
Well, this is it. And they all need to heal too, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, there is a certain amount of psychological effect of doing some of these things. But, I have to focus on the benefit of freeing people, freeing children, all those sorts of things. Because, I don't want to kill anybody.
I mean, we seem to be waking up on one thing that we're waking up in this conversation is that we've got a hell of a situation that's happening here. I mean, we are really dealing with a multi-dimensional, multi-universal.
But it's situation. A bit like the day the Earth stood still.
Yes.
What made at the end? People need something to, hit home. So they don't carry on because, as it were, it's a drip feed, drip feed, drip.
Yeah, poison.
Gradually poison. It's been happening for thousands of years, been feeding and everything else, and then it's been getting gradually to the point now where they can have total and utter control. So it's about breaking free of that. But people need something to wake them up, something to jolt them out of their state.
Absolutely.
Because so many people don't get woken up. So many people are just going through the normal daily routines.
You could continue that for another 5 years or whatever and just dream on.
Yeah. So in that respect, you can see this as a positive catalyst at the same time as being a negative one. To actually, and then it's up to all us, like in Connecting Consciousness or other groups, to actually educate people to what's going on. And hopefully wake them up to the fact we're not living in this little goldfish bowl. which we've always thought we were swimming around in. That there's a lot more than the goldfish bowl if we actually look outside. So that's another aspect
And
to
you
it.
can always jump out of the top of the goldfish bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Which is raising your vibration. So by not living in fear, raising your vibration, that's why they target you to try and lower your vibration, because the EMF can't get through the higher vibration. The Draco can't start to materialize if your vibration is high enough. Or you can ask friends to come in and target them, because they've been trying to do that last few weeks.
So what's going on in the war front, like the Draco and all that? What's happening there?
That's getting quiet at the moment, actually.
Because it's because of this comet thing.
Yes, because there's some renegades within the Draco, but to be honest, the ancient dragon reptilians, dragon beings, are superior to the Alpha Draco, so they know that they should do what they're told from them. If they don't, they're going against their own hierarchy.
So this is the legends of St. George and the Dragon.
Well, beyond that, because there's good dragons.
Yes.
So these are ancient beings that have a strong connection as well to Native Americans. They have dragon legends about positive dragons.
And this is what Harold Kautz Vela, when I interviewed him from Germany, and he used to talk with joy about the dragons. And this wonderful dragon would come down, and at the time I was driving a Vauxhall Viva van with a white dragon on the side.
Yeah,
as shown on Channel 4.
Yeah, so these bases and pocket dimensions are continually being taken out, and I never know until a short time beforehand whether I'm going to be out at night or not. But they do tell me, where they don't tell most people.
What about these satellites?
Those satellites, they're negative. They're all part of the negative.
NRO, National Reconnaissance Office.
But there's so many different elements here. There's the positive and the negative. You've got the positive military, and you've got the negative.
Is Elon Musk going to get his 100 people up on his fancy spaceship that looks as if it's a farce? Be knocked together by a bunch of guys.
Distraction. They're just distractions for the general public. Why did they stop the space shuttles? It's because it was costing a lot of money for nothing. It was just, should we spend more money on putting them up? And, just like, while we're doing all this other stuff, the advanced space stuff, well, we have the shuttles that are nonsense.
God almighty. Where do they keep all this stuff?
Well, they keep a lot of it in space, close.
They keep them up in space. Yeah. And here's a wonderful dog. Hello, dog. Yeah. Does the dog want to do something?
Oh, she's attention seeking. Do you want to go out again? Well, go on then. She'll probably woof now. You watch it.
Well, here we are, having an extended update with on this, and we're using a lot of concepts, a lot of things. Wake up, guys! Here we are back. Commercial break over.
Yeah. It's always exciting here. It's just like normal life as well. Things interrupt. But really, I'd focus back on this connection with Mother Earth and all the different beings. So we've got the elementals. We've got what's coming up soon with the other beings like Merlin and the Arthurian, true Arthurian beings, not Nazi forms or whatever. And increasing, and these ones, elementals that have come from Atlas, the Atlas comet, ship, from the ancient dragons on there. I did see one on the way back from Castle Rig. He looked very different than any other being I'd seen. There was nobody at all on the road, not one person I saw all the way back. But they were very thin. They were very tall and very, very skinny. It was a very strange looking being, actually. They were like super thin, like odd. I say odd. I'm so used to seeing all different beings. They're just slightly more odd than all the other beings I've seen. But as I said, they're here to support us. And not all the elementals are small, like Fae or something like that. Some are big and some are giants. There's all different shapes and sizes of this whole new different realm of species that we tend to be separated from. But this separation is coming together. Like it or not, it's coming together.
Is that due to the magnetic field effects reducing, and also the inversion of the sun's magnetic field coming as an inversion layer? Two fields opposite each other.
A lot of these elemental beings, some of them have come from the lower fourth and they've migrated up to the fourth, and then they're more positive now beings, and then there's the goblins and things like that on the lower realms, imps, goblins, demonic, and they're really in the lower ones. And so they fight anyway, the higher ones and the lower ones. But until more recently, they realize they need to raise their vibration to also make the transition as Earth transitions into a higher dimension. They need to make a transition too, so we can be like a bridge for them as well.
We all have to work together.
Yeah, basically it's about us all working together to defeat the negative. That's what it is, and they will get defeated. They're just delaying, stretching out their timelines as much as they can. How long they?
Well, they would do that anyway, wouldn't they?
Of course they would, because they're not going down without a fight. They're doing everything.
And why should they? And why should they? I'm putting a bit of mocking tone on this.
They should heal. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
They should heal and turn positive. Yeah. So that about rounds it up, really.
So you're okay. I mean, the thing is, a bit worried. You pulled away. This is great to see you. I think it's been about 3 weeks or more.
Yeah, I had to pull away because a certain situation kicked off that really hit me hard. It was attack on me personally and others because it implicated them as well, and it may have ended up in legal situation, but as it was, the person who made the accusations and stuff like that backtracked and one thing and another, so that's all gone out of the way, thank goodness. But it triggered a sense of loss in me.
So it was a successful attack on you.
It was, because once it lowered my vibration and I got the negative attacks, because as soon as my vibration goes down, it allows the demonic and the others to then come in, because this was influenced by the satanic Illuminati who were behind this, who influenced somebody else who then made accusations and things like that against me. So although they backtracked, this is all the negative. And then once, as I said, my vibration went down, they were targeting me. Even with a coven was targeting me as well, because I could remote view and I saw them, and other people did too. So I had to counteract those direct attacks on me, which they don't normally get. They're not getting through as much as they used to, but that did knock me for 6. So I had to take a bit of a backseat.
Yeah, and you acknowledged that, and therefore,
yeah. So I've been healing from that. So as I heal and transmute that, it strengthens me. So I needed time to heal from that, which is why I didn't want to do any interviews or something at that point, because I needed to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And also you get like all the things that I've been through in my life, you get a molecular memory of it. So you get like it's about homeopathy really targets it. So I've got friends who have given me some homeopathic remedies to help my cellular memory heal from all the traumatic things that have happened to my body. And that's really, so I was taking it easy from that as well. But I'm saying taking it easy, I was busy still doing the SSP and things. So relatively less busy.
It was interesting, actually. I was talking to somebody else, and they concurred that the SSP craft are female.
Yeah, it depends what level. If they're the normal SSP craft, they can be male or female. But the higher dimensional craft tend to be piloted by females, because we find it easier to connect and to completely connect with the craft.
I was going to make a
So,
bad joke that you don't know how to read maps and you'd keep changing your mind. Ho ho!
oh, oh, Miles. That's so funny.
God. Oh, I don't. I've said it all now. That's me. That's me in the lower dimensions for the next 25
Yeah,
millennia.
as you love a dimensional phase, yeah. I don't mind jokes anyway. I've had them all before, so it doesn't bother me. You got to laugh as well, haven't you?
Yeah, good fun. Well,
Yeah,
on
good
that
fun.
little light note, I'll put my colours back in. I'll see if I kind of get my I'll get my rainbow back in. See how that works, and I think that works like that. Yeah, I've got my rainbow back on.
So it's about letting go of fear,
Yeah.
basically, for everybody, and it's about reconnecting with the elemental worlds and different beings. And as I said, it's likely quite soon we're going to get together some sort of kind of big, podcasts and that to help support people in that connection and how they can go about it.
Is it
Because it
going to
is.
be dangerous using the computer systems we're using now? Is there another way that we can communicate all this?
Well, I mean, I have friends we communicate all the time psychically now, but you can't connect with everybody psychically because people are at different levels.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still more or less, because I have friends all around the planet, so we're still relying on the internet at the moment for a lot of these connections.
Well, we understand there are other ways of developing that, but you mentioned the blockchain thing. I know that some of the independent YouTube sites were modeled on blockchain technology, and the Wuhan certain business interests bought those companies, but they didn't buy the blockchain. They bought the company, but how's that a negative thing? The blockchain thing.
Because it's certain types of blockchain that are controlled by a certain one individual family, should we say, where all the banks are owned by them. The Fed was owned by them, which is why Trump has now semi-bypassed the Fed. I'm not an expert with monetary things,
Yeah,
but
nor am
and also Boris has done the same with the Bank of England. Italy and Spain refused to sign the loan with the EU because it would attract them in austerity for the next God knows how many years, 25 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So they refused that. So there are good people in place that are trying to do their bit. But yeah, they're still the people who are in control of the money, they still want to engineer it so that everything will funnel through them, and that's why they want to get rid of businesses. That's why they want to get rid of all this sort of thing.
Well, I've heard. I don't know if you've heard, but the United Nations the UN seems to have shut up shop. The flags are down and the building's closed. Happened a couple of days ago. Do you know anything about that? UN building in New York.
Simon would probably do update on that because I don't keep on up to tabs with that particular thing. But yeah, the UN is not a popular place. I mean, look at all the. I mean, there are good people who work there, like anywhere. But I mean, the amount of rapes that went on. Well, the amount of rapes from UN troops, and they were just brushed under the carpet. There was tens of thousands of rapes, and they were just like dismissed. They never got brought to court or anything, and that was through the UN and their troops, which obviously recruiting really bad people, and of course some of the World Health Organization is not for the benefit of you or I, it's for the Agenda 30 depopulation. It's not for us. So
Agenda 21 is happening right now. Is that not what this current pandemic one situation is, to get us into Agenda 21?
This is it. This is what we're up against right now. What we're looking for the future is happening now.
Well, there are some friends I know, and that they've read about this, seen about all this sort of stuff, and they basically saying, I couldn't believe it. I woke up in the morning, and now we're dealing with the New World Order stuff right now. We thought it was going to be years away, but it's happening now.
But those years away were years going back in time. So yeah, it is now, and we're right there now.
Yeah, with Anthony J. Hilder, Jordan Maxwell, wonderful woman called Mary Seal. Mary Seal did the first Global Deception Conference way back in 1992, I think, possibly 93. And she lost her house trying to raise the alarm way back. That's 30 years ago. And we're now in the 2020s, and we're here.
Yeah, we're here. But there again, it's just like any battle in history. We are at war, so we need to realise that. And it's not a normal war where you've got battlefronts that are normal. The redcoats are the other ones, and you're meeting on the battlefield. It's a different sort of battle. It's a spiritual war.
An energy war.
An energy war, yeah. And ultimately, it's about the negative want to imprison our souls. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
That's their ultimate goal, is to imprison every soul on the planet. So it's about standing up against that. And everybody who's watching this.
Well, the only way they're going to be able to watch this is for me to say goodbye for now, get my computers back online, because it's been a huge uphill struggle the last 2 or 3 weeks, one thing after another breaking down. Even the keyboard of the computer working here, everything. And bluntly, I need funding, but we'll leave that for another time. The big news is that Alternative View 3.11 is going ahead, and it's going to be a live stream one. And I don't know if I was talking to Kerry, and we're going to try and get Kerry Cassidy's summer conference live streamed in some kind of way, and still get the information. That means that people mentioning on this is because Alternative View conferences by Ian R. Crane, who's gone through, I think, 4 operations, and he's there to complain, and he's there to send stuff up on. He's managed to get a Facebook post out. He's taken a real kicking. He's still with us. He's got a great team with Alternative View people. They're putting on a conference imminently. So if you want to get connected with that on live stream, you can get that, and that's, I think, in about because a lot of people see this afterwards. It's early May, so go to the Alternative View site for getting that, and also getting the live stream recordings afterwards. They've got a really good site worked out. I'm working on something new myself, and we're going to try a basis maybe the end of May, do it live, do a live stream type presentational things. So maybe we could call on you for that at some time. But we'll see how the lockdown is the end of May. See how many people we can get together in one spot to do something live, and then put it out on the internet. Well, that's it from me. Sorry, that's it from me. And
yeah, and that's it from me. But love to everybody.
Good.
And you're all good enough. It's just, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it. It just takes time and work and effort, because we all have our part to play.
Yeah.
That's all I can say, really.
Okay. Thank you, Julie.